Hello, everybody. Welcome to this presentation. My name is Henry Cáceres. I work for GroupEAD, and in today's video, we're going to talk about the digitalization impact in AIM, or what we also like to call the AIXM effect. AIXM, yes, the Aeronautical Information Exchange Model, for which long exposure is not advised by doctors everywhere, and it's actually the cause of headaches and nightmare for some people. Now, seriously, AIXM, is that an enemy or that we should fight, or it's our best ally in AIS? The truth is that AIXM has a lot to do with digitalization and modernization of the AIS service, and also that it's not really a new thing. Yeah, AIXM has been living with us, among us already for more than 2 decades. So how is that AIXM has been the driver for the transition from AIS to AIM and even more? What is the impact of the digitalization on the staff and the tools and the services and the products? And how we should embrace the different challenges that digitalization and AIXM bring to AIS to AIM and AIS and AIM. So we will try to provide answers to all these questions in this video. We appreciate very much your participation and your comments and after this video, if possible. So let's start talking a little bit about the history. Let's give a little bit of historical background in order to understand where are all these ideas and all this digitalization coming from, and how they were later integrated as an essential component of the transition to a more modern and digitalized AIM service and even more. It's been proven that this transition from AIS to AIS has actually been a pioneer for a larger and more advanced concept, which is actually streaming. So let's go a little bit through history and let's try to see how is that it all started. As you can see in the presentation, we're going to start this history from the EAD creation. We're going to talk about what is this EAD and how it has been the road up to whatever the future will bring for the AIS service. So once upon a time in aeronautical information, we had data provider who used to create their AIP in paper version and also their NOTAMs as AFDN or AMHS. And this data provider was very happily exchanging their information with some other colleagues around the world who also provided and created these 2 types of information products. We're talking about the AIP and the NOTAMs. So they all at the same time were also providing and exchanging their aeronautical information, right? But in this history, there is also another player, another important actor here, and that is actually the data user. The data user actually used to receive the information from all the different data providers around the world, and later, based on this information in these AIPs or in these NOTAMs, create the PABs, the manuals, and the charts, or whatever product they had internally, right? We're talking about airlines, we're talking about ATS, et cetera, right? So as you can see, this is kind of a mess, right? This is what we had in aeronautical information, but that all changed back in 2003, when for the first time we created an aeronautical database based on AIXM, which was actually the first time where AIXM was implemented. And the whole purpose of having this centralized database in Europe was actually to have a common place and a single source of information. And as you can see, the data user does not have anymore to be subscribed to the different data providers, but instead it's using a single and centralized database, and it's taking the information directly from it. So this brings, of course, a lot of benefits, right? First of all, we're going to use the technology in order to improve the quality of the data, and also that the data user will actually get the information from the same place. But there is an important fact here, an important what we like to call the click factor, right? Something that changed here, something that it was a shift of paradigm, yeah, on what we had before and what we have now with this implementation. Note that we're talking about 2003, so we're talking about almost about 2 decades ago. And this shift of paradigm that we're talking about is actually the concept and the idea that besides implementing databases, or besides creating a single and centralized database, now we have to shift from being product-centric to data-centric. What does that mean? What does that mean that we need to change this this mentality? Yeah, instead of being product-centric to data-centric. It means that instead of focusing directly on the final AIM products as we have them now, like the AAPs, like the NOTAMs, or even the when they are in CD or online versions, we should not focus on the production of them as a first stage, but we should move to focus more on data, meaning that once we have our database consistent and with all the information in a single place, then of course we can then use this database, take advantage of this in order to create and process the different products that we have in aeronautical information, like our AIPs. So that is the big shift of paradigm, right? To go from, instead of focusing on the product, we focus on the data. Because usually we have in AIS departments several units inside the AIS department, like publications, like NOTAMs, like what else, like the cartography as well. So they all three sometimes act like separated units or departments, and that should not be the case, yeah, because they all are focusing all their efforts in the products, yeah. The idea with this and the implementation of databases, and especially AIXM, it's actually to focus on the data, yeah. And once you have the data consistent, then you can start creating your products, assuring the quality of the products. But this is not it. We have more in order to I mean, we can provide more information here. We can provide more products. And that is because once we have the information in the database, we can extract that data and send it directly to more systems or to databases. Those systems should also speak the same language, right? Should also speak AIXM language, and should also and will be able to digest and also to interpret and understand that data that we are sending. And yes, this is also one of the advantages or also impact of having a centralized database. In one side, we can improve the quality of our conventional products, but why not? We could also provide the data as a data service. So for years we have been in this transition from AIS to AIM. There has been a lot of efforts by the AIS community and also by ICAO in order to move from AIS to AIM, right? And most of you are probably familiar with the roadmap for the transition from AIS to AIM, which is a document released in 2010, which indicated some, let's say, key some key objectives to be met in specific dates. And although this document, it's very well explained, if we could summarize this document of the roadmap from the transition from AIS to AIM, we could say that this transition from AIS to AIM, it's actually the transformation of the AIS service with its standardized products in paper, AFDN or AMHS. We're talking about AAP and NOTAMs, of course. Is the transformation of the AIS into a data service provision, yeah? And now, instead of using paper and AFDN, what we're using is new technologies like service-oriented architecture, web feature services, and web map services. But what we see there, it's a focus in the data itself, right? And we are transforming from paper to data, and with this we can we can summarize what is all these transition from AIS to AIM. So most probably some of these concepts are new for you, but don't worry. These concepts like a service-oriented architecture, web feature service, or web math service are already integrated in our everyday, let's say, activities in the internet, for example. So if you're an engineer, of course, you should be concerned about studying about these subjects. But for AIM experts, AIS, AIM experts in the domain of AIS, then this is something that which will bring the systems themselves, and we will work with them, and they should be transparent for us. So, as I mentioned, there has been a lot of efforts by ICAO and also by the community, like for instance the implementation or the latest one of the latest amendments of Annex 15, Amendments 40, which at the same time brought the creation of a new document, the famous PANS AIM. They have shown us the intention of moving the AIS service as we know it, as we knew it in this conventional paper provision, to a data service provision. Yeah. And what is what they want? What is the workflow that we imagine when we are fully implementing this, especially the digital data sets concepts, which are part of these documents as mentioned before. So what we could see is that in the typical workflow of AIS, AIM, we have in one side the originators of the information. This is where all the fun part, the fun things happen, right? This is where we close the aerodromes. This is where the areas are restricted, the routes are limited, etc. Right? All this happens here at the originator side. And what happens is that these originators, they are sending the information to the AISP or the AIS providers, right? This information is transferred conventionally via several means, including paper, fax, even phone calls, etc. And then the AIS experts working in these units or these departments are transforming that information received in these, let's say, not that clear means of communication like internet or like documents or like paper or like fax or even phone calls or even sometimes radio communication. So they are transforming all these ideas into the aeronautical products that we know nowadays, right? Our AAPs and NOTAMs. And that is fantastic, right? With the implementation with AIM and databases, hopefully we're going to have the possibility to use a single and centralized database in order to create these conventional products. That would be fantastic. So we create these products, and what happens is that then we have the users. So we create a copy of our products, the AAPs, the NOTAMs, and we send this copy of these products everywhere to all our users. And this is more or less how it has been working until now, because as mentioned before by this latest amendment by Annex 15, we have now the possibility to, besides providing these conventional products, providing data. Yeah, in these data, it's in the form of the so-called digital data sets, as mentioned by the by Annex 15 and also the PANS AIM document. And these digital data sets will be received by the users, and they will be the ones understanding, interpreting, and also transforming this data into their own products. Yeah, these could be graphical products or analysis, data analysis, etc. We don't know yet, and it's not really important for us, because our mission in AIS is actually to promulgate, to publish the information, and then the users are the ones who can decide in this way on how to display or represent or use this data, right? They can have the conventional products in the AAP and the NOTAMs, but now we're going to give them the possibility to use this data for whatever purpose and whatever product they might have. In this picture, it's we can see how it works, the workflow, but we have identified already a problem, and that is that the integrity of the information transmitted from the originators to the AISPs, it's not really fulfilling all the integrity principles as defined in ICAO and as defined in the data exchange. So we might also expect that in the near future, we're going to have also the possibility of originators also exchanging data with the AIS. So in this way, we're going to mitigate this situation, and we're going to avoid the risk of having erroneous or corrupt information or being understood or interpreted by the AIM staff, right? It doesn't mean that the AIM staff will not continue working. What it means is that we will receive this data. Somebody has to monitor this database as well. Somebody has to create the conventional and digital products, and that is the IAM staff. But now we're going to assure that the service and also that the data integrity has been preserved from the origination to the AISPs and its processing, and finally to the user side. So ICAO has been working hard in the definition of the different documents, and one of these, it's actually called ASBU, this Aviation System Block Upgrade, which is defined as the strategy for the Global Air Navigation Plan, and they also recognize the importance given to the AIM and also to SWIM. This DAIM, it's nothing else than the digital AIM, and also the SWIM concept. So we're going to talk a little bit about them. But what is this ASBU? This ASBU, it's nothing else than objectives, yeah, that ICAO has defined for the Global Air Navigation Plan. And one of those areas is called the information threats, which actually intends to provide some objectives or goals for 4 different areas. As we see there, it's the SWIM, the flight information in a collaborative environment, the FICE, the DAIM as digital AIM, and the AIM, which is the meteorological information. We will be interested today in these 2, the digital AIM and the SWIM. And as mentioned, ASBU works in different blocks of 6 years where several objectives are to be reached. Yeah? And if we see for digital AIM, we have some objectives for block 1 and some others for block 2. And for SWIM, we're also starting in block 2 with some other objectives. So interestingly, we see that in digital AIM by 2019, some objectives should have been met, right? And some others should have been starting its implementation right now in block 2 because we are in 2021. And it means that we are already located there in block 2. So let's have a look of what's expected according to this methodology of ASBU for the digital AIM information that all of you in AIM units or AIS AIM units should be providing. So digital AIM, there we go with our different blocks. And these are the different objectives, right, that we should have. If we see for block 1, we should have quality assurance of the data, AAP data set, terrain data set, obstacle, aerodrome, instrument flight procedures data sets. These are the digital data sets as defined in the PANS AIM, and also note them improvements. So we see there data everywhere, right? And this is something that we should have fulfilled already. What else? We have that for block 2, meaning after 2019, we should have stream data dissemination, airspace data, data for higher airspace, data for UTM, note of replacement, again, full of data, yeah? We are now in 2021, and the question here is, where are we? Have we started already providing and implementing all these data sets, digital data sets as per block 1? Are we already ready for the stream data dissemination and the airspace data or data for drones, etc.? So this is what ICAO is demanding from us, and obviously we should be implementing and applying some efforts in this. Yeah. So according to DAIM in block 2, as per ASBU, by this time we should be fully digital, exchanging using a standard the service-oriented architecture. paper should be abandoned. That means that this will come in the near future, that we should forget about the paper provision. And when I'm talking about paper, I'm not talking about the physical paper as such, but also something that might seem kind of a futuristic thing for some, that the AIP in paper or in CD or in online version, as we know it, might also be adapted or updated in the future, right? Because we're going to be oriented only to data. What else? Position and time accuracy for data. We should have an improvement on this. We should support high airspaces and also the drones concept, and also a rich obstacle database with a lot of reference. Note that especially for the drones and urban air mobility concept, we require databases with not only the obstacles around the vicinity of an airport, but also of cities. So that's going to be a lot of data that we have to provide, and that we need to keep and control as well. So where are we now? Are we there yet? Block 2 started in 2019. We're in 2021, and we should be following some steps in order to provide these according to ASBU. So let's talk a little bit about the other area of improvement, which is STREAM. And let's see first what is not STREAM. Yeah, STREAM, it's actually the exchange of information among several domains. Yeah, because we know that in a typical service provision, we have everybody talking with everybody, and they all sending the information to the airplane. So this is a very typical point-to-point network where information is transmitted point to point, and it's not very efficient. We have also a lot of protocols, a lot of languages, because different concepts in terms are used depending on the domain. For flow control, one thing could mean a different thing, like for the med service provider. So they have like different languages and different protocols, and they also use custom interfaces. Yeah, so it's not like standardized the way they are retrieving the information or the data. So with STREAM, this is changing a bit, because in STREAM, what we have is a system-wide information management, where all the data is going to be centralized in a single network, and then everybody will be exchanging the information to the same pool of information, and they will become data providers and data users at the same time, including the airplanes. That means that the airplanes will not be only consumers of the information, but will also be able to provide information in this big pool of information. Doesn't this picture look familiar with something else that we saw in slides before? Yeah, this was actually a very similar picture to what we saw with the EAD creation. Yeah, this European AIS database. In this European AIS database, we had all the AIS data providers providing and exchanging the information among each others until the implementation of EAD in 2003, centralizing all the different data reception and also data provision. So we see the same thing in STREAM. In STREAM, it's also taking advantage of that experience that we got in EAD. And EAD was actually the proof of concept that this STREAM service provision is possible. So as we see, STREAM, it's now, instead of a point-to-point, a network-centric exchange of information. We're going to have standard protocols for communicating. So all the different services will be able to use all the different data. And this is more oriented to global operations. It's not only for a specific country, but more to be widely used around the world. With this, we're going to improve these two important concepts, which are nowadays in aviation, which is the situational awareness and the collaborative environment. Yeah, the more information is exchanged, so the better informed is the people, and the better decisions we're going to take. So SWIM in block 2, which is this another objective or area of improvement by ASBU, requires the use of internet technologies instead of point-to-point. We had previously specific networks, but now we're going to IP, we're going to Internet Protocol for exchanging the information. We're going to implement systems which are using this publish subscribe mechanism or request and reply. So we're going to have this service-oriented architecture in order to provide and exchange the information. And also the aircraft is going to be a relevant actor, because it would also be a node in this network of information, yeah, an air-to-ground exchange. So I've been telling you this history of how everything started in EAD. It was for the first time the implementation of AIXM, and also how we have moved from AIS to AIM and to STREAM. So let me summarize a bit what we have been talking about. EAD was created in 2003. For the first time, we had an implementation of AIXM in a database, in centralized database for the European countries. It started at the beginning only as a European database, but then the AIS community was exposed to what was being done in EAD, the use of these databases, data models like the AIXM, and then they said, hey, we want to do the same thing. We want to boost the AIS service in a way that we are making use of databases and centralized databases for improving the quality of the service that we are providing. And that was exposed in the AIS Global Congress in Madrid back in 2006. The ICAO the AIS community and ICAO, they knew what has been done in EAD. And some years later, they decided that was exactly the way that they needed to follow, and they came with the concept of AIS to AIM. They created a study group, and they created also the famous roadmap for the transition from AIS to AIM. Some years later, this same concept was implemented in the Global Air Navigation Plan, in the GANP, which has as a mechanism for reaching the objectives of this Global Air Navigation Plan, the ASBU, where we can also find digital AIM and also STREAM. And finally, we are in the STREAM era. We are supposed to be in the STREAM area, where information coming from the aeronautical information, from the meteorological information, and also from flight should also be mixed, should all be mixed in the same platform in order to provide and to create this STREAM platform. This is where we are supposed to be. Yeah. So the question now is, yeah, I know AIXM was created for the EAD. EAD brought this concept of the transition from AIS to AIM. It was one factor for this, and then everything evolved, and now we have STREAM, right? But we need to focus on AIM, on digital AIM. And the question is how AIXM will change the AIM stuff. We're not expecting AIXM to replace stuff. We're actually expecting AIXM to change the AIM stuff. And it brings some challenges, because by changing the stuff, it's not only in terms of knowledge, instead in terms of expertise, but also in terms of mentality. We need to be data-oriented now, right? So let's discuss a little bit what is this AIXM and how it will change or will replace or will change our mentality. So let's start with what is AIXM. AIXM, it's actually this model that has redefined the way we are exchanging aviation. We're exchanging information in aviation, because we used to exchange information in paper and in AFTN with the NOTAMs, but now we need to see that this is oriented more for data services, right? It is actually composed of two components, yeah? A data model, which is actually a representation of the real world in UML diagrams. There we go with an example. We see on the first picture the concept that we have for airspace, which is our own concept that exists only in aeronautical information. Nobody can go out and see an airspace, yeah, but we know that they exist, and we can represent them as a volume, as an area, right, as a volume which exists out there. But this is represented in a diagram, yeah. Note that these diagrams will have later the basis, will be later the basis of a database, meaning that these diagrams are understood by software developers or by database administrators, and they can create a database considering all these diagrams that we have created based on our real life or our real world entities. And this is the first component of AIXM, a data model, which allows me to create a database. Yeah, it's diagrams, which allows me to create database. Obviously, if you buy a system, this database and these tables will exist already in this system, and you don't need to create anything. Yeah, the model is there to be used, especially by software developers in the creation of the database. The second component, which is actually a data exchange model, which uses an XML schema, which is nothing else like a template in order to create messages in files. So this it's based on a language called XML and GML, which stands for Extensible Markup Language and Geography Markup Language, which actually it's pure text that could also be understood by humans, but it's organized or is structured in a way that it's able to transport the data contained in these in the messages. And this data exchange mechanism provided a structure to the messages. So what we're going to do is that the data already in my database, I will extract them, I will use as my template my schema, and I will create messages. I will create files. And that is how AIXM works. Yeah, AIXM works with two components, a data model and a data exchange. The data model helps me to create the databases, and the data exchange allows me to take the information from that database and create messages which could be sent in files, in simple files with extension XML, specifically for AIXM 5.1 and also for AIXM 4.5. All right, so the question is, should I care about AIXM? Meaning that, yeah, that is all systems working, systems, databases, data being extracted. Then should I care about AIXM? Should I know how it works? Yeah, this is a question that typically people coming to our training courses, they ask us, right? And the thing is that I always give them this example. Yeah, when you were learning, for instance, how to process NOTAMs, did you care about AFTN transmission? And the answer of many of them is yes, of course. I had to understand how the messages were composed. All right. So the same thing here, right? You are not going to create the messages of a NOTAM, for instance, or AFTN messages from scratch. You're going to have a system supporting you. And in AIXM will happen the same thing. You're going to have a system supporting you creating these XML messages, right? So we should care about AIXM because AIXM, it's the future standard for information exchange. ICAO has not yet officialized the use of AIXM, but everything is oriented that obviously AIXM is going to be the standard. And soon we're going to have references in the document 8126 to the use of AIXM as a means of compliance of the different provisions and regulations in these documents. So we should care about AIXM because AIXM is the standard, it's the future standard, and it's something that will improve the quality, timeliness, and safety of the information that we are providing, will boost our service to the next level. And also another reason is because AIXM is for AIM. For the first time, we're having a data model and a data exchange specifically for the service that we are providing. And obviously, that is something that deserves protection. Yeah, we need to care about AIXM because it will bring many benefits for us, and it's been developed specifically for enhancing or improving the service that we are providing. So AIXM, it's actually the booster, let's say, for the digitalization, because with AIXM we can create databases, and these databases allows us to exchange data as such. So we should embrace digitalizations digitalization in AIS units, starting with AIXM systems, starting with AIM system implementations, but not only that, but also to change in our mentality and knowing that it's the only way that we can provide and that we can satisfy a better all these strict requirements coming from aviation. So we need to embrace digitalization because we can't stop it. This is like a big train coming in front of you. So instead of trying to stop it, you just have to jump into it, and also follow the same road. Note that I'm highlighting here IT in capital because IT also represents information technologies, right? And this is also another interesting thing, that we have to be using all these mechanisms, IT developments, technology, etc. Another reason is because aviation needs it. There are many new requirements, and there are many new concepts like RNP, PBN, GNSS, GBIS. All these new concepts can only be possible if they rely on data of an assured quality, data of an AIM service, which is embracing digitalization, and also because AIM needs it. We need digitalization. We need to improve this service, which for years it's been hidden somewhere there. It's been not really considered as it is, right? And now we know that without digitalization and the data, aeronautical data and information, there are many things that depend on them, right? And we can use it for a good purpose in aviation, especially for enhancing the safety and security. So let's quickly see what is the impact that the digitalization and implementation of AIXM and AIM systems have in AIM staff. First of all, we need to have an updated profile for the new staff. A profile which will actually involve the new people that we are hiring for working in the AIS units should be technology driven, meaning that they should not be afraid of technology. They should work with it, play with it, live with it, right? And because this brings a lot of technological changes, a lot of new concepts and also systems to be used. The new staff should also be able to be tolerant to change. Because not only in terms of technology, which is changing day by day, but also in terms of many other things, like from the regulation point of view, from procedural point of view, etc. So we live now in a crazy world which is demanding that we have to be changing all the time, right? And so we need that from our new staff coming to AIM. What else? Not only for the new staff, but also for the old staff, people who are already working with that, because obviously these people with a lot of experience working already in the unit, they need to be modernized as well. They need to be data oriented, and there are some new skills and knowledge that that they should also gather during this transition process. For instance, in the AIM systems, these are database systems, and we need to know how they work. We need to know the different features that we have, the different possibilities and options, etc. But also, and something very important, is to know the concepts behind, because the AIM systems are bringing with it some concepts given specifically for AIXM, concepts like temporality, georeferential or integrity, etc., right? So we need to know the new things about AIM systems. And we also need to be aware that we're going to work in a different environment. Before, we used to work in our own units and also create our products and exchange them and forget about them. But now, the idea is that AIM is an integral part of a stream environment where our data will be continuously used by all the different actors, right? And they could come to us and ask us or to correct or to protect or to deliver, etc., all different type of data. Another impact in AIM staff is that it will create new roles or working positions. In some cases, it could be not specifically a role or a working position, but could also be activities, because obviously we need to focus on data now. And these different roles or working position, just to mention some, could be data processing, data verification and validation, data product or developer, etc. So obviously this is giving us more opportunities for the people working directly on the data. All right, so we talked about the AIM staff. Now let's see what about the AIM tools. What is the impact that we see in the AIM tools? Honestly, the AIM tools that we used to use regularly in some decades or some years ago were not that technological. I mean, we were talking maybe about a computer and a text processor, and that was it, right? And maybe system with AFTN for NOTAMs. Yeah. But now we're going to have new systems, yeah, and these new systems might need or might have workflows tools. What is these workflow tools? These workflow tools will allows us to control and monitor and assign the different tasks which are involved in all the different data chain, in all the different tasks and activities of all the data chain, from the origination until the provision to the final user, right? So what else? These new systems can also be centralized AIM systems. Centralized AIM systems, which might actually have several components. And we're talking about a component or a module for the creation of an AAP, for the creation of charts, support in procedure designing, for validation of NOTAMs, for flight planning and briefing, or for the digital data sets or the digital products that we're offering. So if you see, we're using the same database, a centralized database, and it will allow us to create the several types of products or services that we're going to have in AIS units. So this is another impact that we're having in AIM tools, yeah, to have centralized databases. And this is obviously one of the major investments that we have to do in AIS and in AIM. Additionally, the impact in AIM tools is that they will not work isolated anymore, right? These systems should also be integrated with other systems like airports, ATM, and more importantly, in this stream context, because in this stream context, we're going to have a pool of information where everybody is exchanging data. In a way, stream, it's actually the intranet of aviation, where we're going to exchange, we're all going to exchange information, and we're all to make use of this information like if we were in the internet, right? So this is the impact in AIM tools. What about the products and services? Yeah, because having a database might bring with it the possibility to create new products, like for instance, electronic charts. Yeah, we have at the moment the printed charts or the typical charts, but why not in the future we could have electronic charts or integrated PABs. Yeah, these are new concepts that will enhance, of course, the pre-flight information bulletin. We can even think in the future of having in-flight bulletins, just as another product, a new product that we could provide in AIM as part of the AIM service. But besides these, the provision of these already produced products like charts and IPIBs, we could also provide data. Yeah, and these it's actually what we call data services. These data services will support, for instance, electronic flybacks, will be provided in the stream context, and should also come in the form of web feature service or web map service or KML, etc. There are several type of formats that we could provide the data. And also very important, the possibility to provide data directly for the ATS, for the ATM service, right? Because they need to maintain also another database, which could also be maintained with our own data that we are providing, right? And also we might think of flight data services in the future, making all the information all the aeronautical information also mobile and portable. I want to show you a little demo of how could look the future for us when all these concepts of digitalization are implemented in AIM. And for this, I'm bringing you an interesting video of an AIXM 5.1 viewer by one of our partners called Lucia from Hexagon. So let me show you here in this application how we could provide aeronautical information in AIXM and how it is displayed. So what we see here is that we have already imported two files, one for obstacle data and another one for AAP dataset, and we're looking at the different metadata, data about data. So we see the different metadata, and this is the way it's giving out information about these files itself. I can change the view from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions to look cooler, and I can also move and navigate inside the different. You see also that I'm able to display different layers like the routes, designated points, airspaces, etc. And I can transform these to my needs, right? If I select the airspaces, I can select them, and it will give me more information, like the typical information we can see in a printed chart, right? I can select the non-select layers. I can navigate. I can even simulate the path of a plane. And also, it's important, you see this example, it's in the middle of the ocean because it's a fictitious airport, but we see all the different components, and we can imagine that, that also we have the possibility to have representation of the obstacles in 3D or in 2.5 dimensions as in AIXM, but this is a concept developed more in AIXM training courses. We can display fantastically here all the layout of an airport. So these, my friends, is aeronautical information. If you see, it's the same information we're used to provide coming in an AAP, but in a more dynamic, in a more active and more useful way, especially for the user, because the user can decide what to show, right? And we're one funny thing that happens, especially with kids, is that they are very used to this gesture, right? They know how to do that. We can't do this. This is for zooming in mobile phones and zooming in for pictures, etc. But we can't do this in charts, right? Charts, printed charts, we are not able to do that. That's only an indicator that we're working with obsolete type of information. With this type of applications, we see that this will be possible. We can zoom in, zoom out, navigate, select layers, look at information, etc. We could also see some time, because we have a time filter, well, which will allow us also to see the changes of specific features in a timeline. But that's for another video. So yes, AIM brings a lot of challenges, and we see it might seem that it's difficult, that it will take us a lot of time to be able to implement and integrate this. So I want to talk a little bit about the challenges that we have in AIM. And some of these challenges, and the more important, are the resources. And when we're talking about resources, we're obviously talking about the time, about budget, which is very important. But another one which is very important is the staff, because we're lacking of staff who really understands these digitalization and AIM idea, right? This digitalization mentality and mindset, right? Because we need to have a mindset for going, a new mindset for understanding and going towards digitalization. What else is a challenge? We have new requirements. Day by day, we're having new requirements by ICAO with new amendments, with new documents, and also the industry. It's coming with new requirements, right? In terms of quality, in terms of the digital products that we have to provide, etc. Also new developments, because while we are talking about these people, the industry is still working on this, and they are creating new developments, new concepts like the digital NOTAM, which is something which is not yet official, but because what we have officialized until now is the NOTAM as we know it, as an AFDA message. But in the future, we were going to have the digital NOTAM, and the digital NOTAM is also based on AIXM, and it relies on the use of AIM systems. We know that this is another concept coming very quickly, which is the drones and the urban air mobility, and this will also boost the amount of information that we have to provide, because this really requires a lot of obstacle databases. Yeah, as I mentioned before, not only in the vicinity of the airports, but also for all the cities, because these toys, which are not really toys, or these devices, we're going to have them up in our air inside the cities, transporting some products, etc. Right, and also even in the future transporting people. Yeah, because we're going to that direction, to the urban air mobility. And also the SWIM context, as we mentioned before, right? These are part of the new developments. We need to be ready for SWIM, this pool of information where we're all going to exchange information, including aeronautical information there. And finally, and not because of this less important, the staff training. That's another challenge that we have in AIM. We know that it's difficult, it's new concepts, it's new ideas. We have to invest in equipment, but at the same time, we have to continue providing the service. So staff training, it's an important challenge, right? We need to keep up to date, and we need to provide these information to our people, because this is the first step in order to change the mentality. Yeah, people need to know that we need to move into this digitalization and data service provision, right? And part of these, the creation of this awareness, it's actually by training. Yeah. So up to now, I've been talking about a little bit of history on how AIS to AIM, this idea, where is this idea coming from? I mentioned that EAD was one of the triggers, one of the pioneers, and then the AIS to AIM evolved to a new concept, which is the SWIM, and we don't know yet where this will take us. And I would like to present in a few minutes what is what we're doing in GroupEAD, what is what we're doing in our company, because we're proud to say that GroupEAD is the first AIM service provider. The AIM seen from the perspective of a fully digital data service provision. Yeah, and I will mention why. It's been a successful story for my company, the company for GroupEAD, because we have been since the very beginning the operational administrators of the European AIS database. And as I mentioned before, everything started with the creation of this EAD, with implementation for the first time of AIXM. So we have been shoulder to shoulder working with Eurocontrol for more than 18 years already, providing the operational administration of the EAD service. And this experience that we have got from the operation of the EAD has actually given us the possibility to come up with to all the different providers around the world and to support them. Yeah, because we're participating in different groups and forums of discussion, and trying to support the community in terms of AIM. And up to now, we have more than 40 data providers already in the EAD as official or migrated data providers to this, and we're supporting them day by day. So our company, it's actually in two offices, one in Madrid, another one in Frankfurt. It was born in 2001, so you see that even before the creation or the implementation of the EAD, we were already there in 2001, and a couple of years later the EAD. So we have been there administrating the EAD since the very beginning. We have the two offices in Madrid and in Frankfurt, and some figures for the year 2019, 7.4 million euros. That was our income. And very important is that we are around 60 staff members, and these staff members are coming from different areas of expertise, where we have controllers, where we have pilots, where we have people who has work in ANSPs, in the AIS units, cartographers, procedure designers, etc. And people coming from 22 different nationalities, bringing with this a lot of cultural and also operational knowledge and experience, and allowing us to speak several languages among the company. We have some certification and memberships, like for instance, the ISO 9001 for quality. We are the only validated EAD service administrator, as mentioned before. We are part of the Single European Sky. We belong also to the CANSO organization, also to the ASI, the Airport Council International Organization, and also part of IFAIMA, which is the International Federation for AIM organizations. So what is what we can provide? What is what we could do for you? Yeah, let me go quickly through all the services that we're providing. One of the services is actually the consultancy service in terms of regulation, specifically for the European Union. Yeah, there are several regulations for AIM in Europe, and obviously we have to be up to date because we're running the biggest database in Europe. And these regulations, they bring with it a lot of requirements and regulations, and then we're able to create a gap analysis and also a compliance roadmap. We can support organizations, we can support units all over Europe in the look of fulfilling or satisfying all the different requirements for these regulations. Note that although these regulations are specifically for Europe, many countries around the world are actually looking at these regulations as an example, in order to take ideas and also to adapt these type of regulations to their own local regulations. So we have a good understanding on them, and we could also support not only European states, but we could also support any other country around the world which is actually in the process of trying to adapt one of these European regulations. And we assure full compliance of the regulation. What else? We have an AIM training academy, an exclusive AIM training academy where we are actually providing several trainings, including AIXM, including PANS AIM, dynamic data, and also the use of the EAD applications. So some highlights of our training academy. It's actually that we have provided our services, training services for more than 100 countries around the world, more than 123 different organizations with almost 9,000 participants in all our training courses. Due to the fact that we have colleagues from 22 different countries, we're able to provide these trainings in 7 different languages, yeah, including Spanish, Portuguese, French, English, of course, German, Russian, etc. So we actually have 2 branches of training. One is it's AIM, which is related to everything about AIS, AIM, the transition, AIXM, and we also have another branch, which is the EAD, which is for the use of the different tools in EAD. And you see there's some numbers up to 2019 of how many participants we have had during the last years, and always with a high level of satisfaction. With our training academy, we are sure that your staff is going to be ready for the implementations of all these new concepts, AIM concepts, and also for the operations and the challenges that the AIM systems bring with them. Some testimonials of some training courses that we provided, in this case, training that we have, which is called the evolution from the AIS to AIM, where our participant thinks that it's been beneficial and simplified way of understanding the evolution towards AIM, or also that the course has helped them to understand and see the need, what is the process with the transition, right? Another testimonials for the AIXM 5.1 basic training that we have is that they believe that it's eye-opening for understanding data formats and databases, and some others think that they would like to continue because this was only the 5.1 basic, and we also have a 5.1 advanced. So some other guys are also they also want to continue in the second part of this AIXM 5.1 training. Another service we provide is AIM consultancy, everything that has to do with AIM to AIM. We mentioned in this presentation some of these concepts, and we are able to verify and to check what is the current situation and to have a gap analysis, and also to be able to elaborate together with you a compliance roadmap on how to reach all the different steps required in the transition from AIS to AIM to SWIM. Also considering the new requirements by ASBU, as mentioned also in the presentation, and we will assure that the transition objectives are fully achieved. We also have operations as part of our our service catalog, and we provide migration services where we are actually transforming all the paper that you have in data. We are transforming this, and we call it the migration of these to the data products. We're able to provide these, but using a different process. We use an immersive approach where we are together with you, working at the same time and training you at the same time on how to populate and use your system. In our case, it doesn't really matter what system you are using or what software developer, simply because we understand all the concepts behind. And once you understand all those concepts, then it's very easy to you. It's very easy for you to work with whatever software, right? And also we have a cooperation with most of the software developers, and we are familiar with the ways that they work. And we ensure an efficient and timely migration. Some of our partners in this operational service are Eurocontrol, NAV Canada, Civil Department, Falcon, DFS in Germany, and also the CAAI in Israel. Another service we provide is a service desk. We have people working 24 hours, and they are ready for supporting you, with whatever problem you might have with your data, with your system, and with your applications, etc. So we provide operational support at any time. All right. So thank you very much for all this time. Now it's time for questions and answers that we will do live in any event, or that you can also send to our email addresses, info@groupead.com or training@groupead.com, in case you want to know more about the trainings we are providing, or in case you want to know more about AIM in general, or AIXM, or any other subject AIS related that you should have. Thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for watching your video. And then we go to the live event in order to have the questions and answers. So if you want to contact us, you can visit our page, and you can find us at the email addresses provided before, and also in Germany and Spain. Thank you.